Namaskar. Hello and welcome to 𝗑𝗙 Guru's channel. I'm your host Sree Iyer. Joining us today is Savio Rodrigues. Let's welcome him. Savio, Namaskar and welcome to 𝗑𝗙 Guru's channel. How are you?
I'm very good, Sri. Thank you for having me on your show once again. It's been quite some time,
Yes, indeed.
but it's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
So, Savio, more and more revelations coming out from this Falah University incident, the Delhi blast. Now we are finding that they had built an underground bunker with 5 feet thick concrete walls. I mean, that means it is built to withstand what? A nuclear explosion? I mean, I'm just curious. You and I are engineers in a previous life. We are now in media. I'm just curious. Why would somebody spend so much money to build a 5 foot wide, thick concrete bunker to underground? Over to you. This is just one of the things that's coming out. You can give us a overview of what all things are happening. Over to you.
Sri, let me state this as brutally honest as possible. The Delhi blast that happened and the terror attack that happened in Delhi recently was an attempt at a larger destruction and a larger terror footprint. But by the nick of time and by the grace of God, the people who were in that area, and because of some miscalculations, the the intended blast did not happen. But this is not the first time that this has been tried recently. In fact, in 2023, there was an attempted there was an attempt to conduct a serial blast in three areas. One was the Ram Mandir, the other that is Ayodhya, the other one was the Akshardham temple, and the third place was somewhere in Mumbai, which was touted to be the Chabad house at that point of time. This happened in 2023 when the Delhi Special Cell nabbed a particular terrorist by the name of Mohammed Shah Nawaz and two other accomplices with him. They were engineers, by the way, uh, met, people who had studied metal and into engineering in some form or the other. And they had actually been caught with the IED and the detonation devices with them. And when they were interrogated, they revealed what their plan was. Now, interestingly, Shri, these three boys in 2023 and the group that was caught recently and that were a part of the Delhi blast, the communication platform that they used was Telegram. Even in 2023, the communication platform was a Telegram channel called Caged Parrot. And Caged Parrot was the social media that was used to attract these Muslim boys and then indoctrinate them into the radicalism, into terrorism, and that's why they decided to do the terror attacks, which failed. However, the Delhi blast did not fail, and there was an impact. 15 people lost their life, but there was something larger planned. The masterminds are still at bay. We haven't caught them yet, but the intelligence agencies and the concerned authorities are working day and night to ensure that the actual plans that were rolled out are dealt with. Now, Islamic radicalism, Shri, is a problem in India, and it is going to become a bigger problem as we go day by day. Because what is happening, which is what you have seen at the Falah University case, they are not your disgruntled Muslim unemployed youth. They were doctors, just like the ones that were planned in 2023. They were engineers, people with a certain degree of education and certain degree of indoctrination. That indoctrination, unfortunately, which we are not willing to recognize or correct or keep an eye on, is happening at some madrasas in the country. And that is where this hate, the Islamic radicalism, the Islamic terrorism across these madrasas are being spread because the indoctrination is happening at a very young age to hate anybody of another religion. They've been told that being in India, you are a second class citizen, you are going to be oppressed, and the only way you have to fight oppression is by being aggressive, by taking on to radicalism, and later on, sort of graduating to terrorism. And that's what you're seeing. This is the first time you're actually in India catching terrorists that were doctors. Doctors and all coming from, most of them from the same university. So you have to ask the question in Falah University, under which they found these bunkers, what was the intent of that university, if not terrorism? Was those bunkers created to protect certain individuals or people if there was a full-fledged terror assault on the country? That is where we need to understand today that India is under threat from terror outfits, not only outside of India, but terror outfits that has been indoctrinated into hate in India. And that is a serious threat. Please understand that the Muslim Brotherhood that America is certainly woken up to is a very much a reality in India. Now, the other shocking aspect, Sree, is around the same time, there were 68 calls that went to numbers and contacts in Pakistan and Turkey within a certain radius of where the Delhi blast happened. Within a small radius, 68 numbers, 68 calls actually went to people in Pakistan and Turkey. Why is that? There is a clear link between Pakistan, Turkey, and I'm afraid that many people will not accept it. But I believe that there is a very strong hand of the CIA in the Delhi blast, because they have an intent to create turmoil, trouble, and fear in India. And the only way they can do that is using terrorism as one of the tools of their intent.
Okay, I have to ask you one question here. 68 calls went from India to Turkey and Pakistan. Where does the link lead to? Where does this go to CIA? I'm missing that link.
So let me explain to you, okay? The precursor to the findings that happened that led to the Delhi blast was the finding or the investigations that went into the ammonia nitrate, the RDX, and various other equipments that could lead to the creation of bombs in this blast that was intended. Now, the internal view is that a lot of these came from operatives that were linked to Bangladesh, and while Pakistan is overseeing it, the route of bringing this into India was Bangladesh. And one of the reasons why we are doubting that it is the CIA is because right now, what is happening in Bangladesh as far as the terror outfits are concerned is controlled clandestinely by the CIA. I believe, and I'm saying this, and at some point of time, I will gather the proof. When I said that NAD was behind the Bangladesh protest and the ouster of Sheikh Hasina, many at that point of time did not accept it. And later on, it came to be known that NAD was behind, instigating the students. Even today, the CIA based out of Bangladesh is responsible for the Delhi blast. While there have been connects to Turkey and Pakistan, the underlying threat is coming from the CIA.
See, I have for long said that whatever is happening in Bangladesh, the links start from ISI, because ISI has had its roots in Jamaat and so on and so forth. See, this is not something that is new. This has happened from 50 years ago. A very famous, very well-respected RAW officer, B. Raman, 𝗏 Raman, he wrote a book called The Cowboys, KAO, because Rameshwar Nath Kao was the founder of RAW, 1960s. Correct. And he was one of the first ones to jump onto that organization called RAW. And he said that in 1971, after the victory of India over Pakistan and the creation of Bangladesh, one inexplicable thing happened. All the raw assets by India were recalled. That left the whole country open for the ISI to walk in. They may have lost the country, but because raw was not there to kind of keep the thing on an even keel, this new country got immediately, this ISI coming in. And we know at that point of time, America was extremely animus towards India. And see, what ended up happening was, because raw was not there to foretell all these things, the entire problems in the Northeast started from there. They were the main, that was a thrust through which the entire thing in the Northeast also happened. You and I have talked about Manipur many times so far. So somewhere there is a mistake on part of India also. I mean, this is not the only mistake. What does Mr. 𝗟𝗏𝗙𝗿 𝗔𝗏𝗏 do as Prime Minister? He says, confidence building measure. He says, we will exchange lists of our intelligence agencies in your country, and you shall give your list of intelligence agents in our country. Well, Pakistan got our list, but Pakistan never gave their list to us. And this so much for a man who was born in Pakistan. The rascal he never deserved to be even chaprasi, forget about being a prime minister. So this is 𝗟𝗏𝗙𝗿 𝗔𝗏𝗏 for you. Then what happens to the ambassador of India to Iran, Hamid Ansari? What is his role? He had a direct hand in allowing a lot of people from raw assets being murdered, or worse. Worse meaning like they were left to die and somehow they managed to live. So India also has a problem. I mean, I'm not saying that this doesn't make up for the other thing. Somewhere we also need to get our act together. Even today, right, India is still reacting. We are not trying to see. For 3 years I've been telling this, Savio. Education in India is free. That's why you have government schools. Then what is the need for a madrasa? Shut them down. Right? It doesn't do it. So if you don't do the root cause of the problem, right, what do you do? And I'll tell you one glaring thing that I noticed in Tamil Nadu especially. Muslims prefer to come and eat in vegetarian Hindu restaurants. I'm not saying anything against or for thing. I've seen this with my own eyes. On the other side, there are these biryani shops. In Chennai alone, they have opened 50,000 biryani shops. They open at 8 p.m. in the night and do business till 4 a.m. Most brightly lit place on the streets, and it does brisk business. And there are allegations that something is being mixed in this. The allegations are born true because your own member of the community doesn't trust your own restaurant and he prefers to eat somewhere else. India is really, I'm telling you, we need 10 times the budget, intelligence budget. We can say that, CIA has a role in this. Yes, CIA will do that. The first time India tried to do something about it, what happened to CIA? They got their knickers in a twist. I'm talking about Pannu, right? So when the shoe is on the other foot, the big, what is it called? Five Eyes, they can't deal it. They can't deal with it, right? So India needs to do the same thing. That's all I can tell you. If US has a 𝗔𝗍𝗍 IR that spews bile on India, you create the same Indian thing. You take out, replace US and put I, and start criticizing the human rights or lack thereof in other countries, including United States. Nothing stops you from doing that. India needs to do some of these things. This is soft power, you see, and India is not doing that.
Sree, while I concur with most of what you say, I must say one thing in defense of India and India's intelligence. Like we did catch the people in 2023 that were planning the blast at Ram Mandir and the others, there have been considerable amount of efforts done by the intelligence and by the government authorities to deal with terrorism in a particular way and to deal with it with an iron fist. Sometimes, like what happened in the Delhi blast, the larger intent was thankfully not executed, and the blast did happen, and we did lose people's life, and that's why we're dealing with the situation. But you have to look at the larger geopolitical situation here. And the reason why I keep saying CIA is because CIA's main interest, because you have Bangladesh's involvement in terms of the materials coming into India, the route was Bangladesh. You have Pak and Turkey's calls that are there as identification. We know Pakistan is always after the thousand cuts on India. But we also do know that America's interest is controlling the northeast and parts of Bangladesh. This had come out when in Sheikh Hasina's own conversation, where she categorically stated that they wanted to carve out a separate Christian nation, that the CIA wanted to do that. And that is the reason Sheikh Hasina is where she is at this point of time. And that is why the kangaroo court right now in Bangladesh wants to have her brought back and have her tried and hanged and punished for what they claim are crimes. The fact of the matter is, America is not our friend. America will use all its powers. Why is America getting close to Pakistan at this point of time? We all know the reason why, because Trump has got an allegiance or a tie-up, as you would say, with the Pakistan cryptocurrency, and that is the reason why there is a lot of value in what Trump is doing with Pakistan. He brought the cryptocurrencies like six billion at that point of time. At this point of time, it's 9 billion. That is the valuation game that Trump is playing, and Trump is, at the end of the day, a businessman. All he's interested in is money. But what he wants from India is also business, the interest that his backers want from India. So today, whether it is terrorism, whether it is wanting to take Narendra Modi off as the prime minister, there is always going to be a CIA hand, no matter how much they come to us and tell us that they are our friends. At the end of the day, when you look at people like David Headley, today is the 26/11, and you realize what happened. What was the situation for during the 26/11 attack? Were they not, as RVS Money had said on many programs, including your show several years back, on what exactly happened? How would some of our own people in Pakistan, important people of the Home Ministry in Pakistan at that point of time, wherein they were not allowed to come back due to some formalities or the other? How the government at that point of time was completely blindsided to certain facts that were brought to the table, warning signs that were brought to the table at that point of time, saying that this is the probability of a terror attack, but nobody acted on it. Where were the guards that were supposed to come in, the commandos that were supposed to come in much earlier, but they came in much later? So many people lost their lives. Till today, the government at that point of time never looked at the fact that there was a Maldivian reconnaissance man called Mohammed Zilian in the 26/11 attack. So the fact is that we are surrounded by terrorism. We are surrounded by Islamic radicalism. And as long as Islamic radicalism prevails, India is not safe. Terrorism will continue. It is going to only heighten, and it's only going to get more strong, because they want to create a situation in India that drives communal tension. And the only way to do that is through a terror attack where the Hindus and the Muslims will conflict and continue to hate each other.
Savio, I kind of agree, but I have some questions, and I'm hoping
Please.
that since I would like you to wear a little bit of your BJP cap at this point of time. You are a good friend of mine, that always is there. And tell me something. February 2025, Modi goes to meet Trump. Press conference, everybody is there. Trump says, as far as Bangladesh is concerned, I leave it to you. To me, it felt like there was a sort of handoff to India, that you take care of Bangladesh because it's in your neighborhood. What did the government do? How did the government interpret it? Because we can all see what happened. Essentially nothing. But wasn't that an indication for India to kind of do something?
So you while you're absolutely right at that point of time, Sri, let me take you a little back to a couple of months ago. The relationship between India and the US primarily got a little wrinkled and not completely spoiled, but wrinkled is the right term because of the FTA agreement. The FTA agreement is what India and the US are not seeing eye to eye on. And there are deliberations going on even now. It is post that America, including Trump, have taken a very aggressive stand towards India on several issues, and that is why they went into bed with Pakistan. In fact, Trump, knowing Trump very well, Trump is not, we might consider him to be a madman, but for 29 times he talked about the Operation Sindoor on how we got India and Pakistan to primarily reach an understanding or a truce so that there is no war. India has denied it, and I believe India will not have listened to Trump at that point of time, but Trump claims it, and the Indian government has denied it. So something has changed that has put Trump in a situation that gets him to be aggressive because Trump is the perfect character of a person who, if he doesn't get what he wants, will turn aggressive against the person who doesn't give him what he wants. And that's why he's very, very upset with India at this point of time. So while India failed in dealing with Bangladesh, and I agree with you on that, the fact of the matter is, I think we are dealing with a larger problem because Bangladesh, Pakistan are merely the patsies of the problem. The real players in the game are US and China. And while we have done, good in ironing the wrinkles with China, they are still a threat to us, whether we like it or not. And what you saw happening to that girl from Arunachal Pradesh is a reflection of that kind of threat that still exists. And same is with the US. So the only person I see as friend with India is the Russians because they are not looking at superseding India. They already know where they stand. It is China and America that want to gain more from India and go ahead of India. China definitely is doing much more than India and believes it's better than India and will stay better than India. But the US wants to control India, and that's the intent of the deep state. Today, we think the deep state is about everything external that you are seeing, yes, but the larger deep state is in the technological uh, lack of prowess that we have and the dependency we have put in the new East India Company. And that's going to be a problem for us in the future because we are not seeing what the warfare of the future is.
Savio, one interesting observation. I'm not disagreeing with you. You're absolutely right in this, in many of the things. I mean, we can agree to disagree. See, look at Pakistan, right? Every time something happens in Bangladesh, we know it was Pakistan probably which was doing something, setting up the, pieces or so on and so forth. But you don't know who is paying Pakistan to do that. You should take a statement of Asim Munir. We stand with the Ummah, sit with America, and sleep with the Chinese. Now, I do a hard interpretation. Sleep is 8 hours. Lunch is
Correct.
2 hours max. Standing is 10 minutes. Because after 10 minutes, you want to sit down. So, this rascal will sell it to anybody for anything. How does India, you see, India, we need to give it back to these guys. First to Pakistan, then to China. Finally, maybe US will also get it in some way. I don't know. I'm a citizen of US. I'm also shocked at the way these things are going. But I just want to tell you that this is where I see it. Go ahead.
No, Sree, I'm sorry to use this kind of language on your show, but if I had to describe Pakistan, Pakistan primarily is a whore and a prostitute. Okay?
Yes.
So you can't expect a lady like Bharat to deal with in the similar manner or deal differently with a prostitute like Pakistan. So we are going to do a deal with people who are friends with us and enemies with us in the diplomacy or in the soft power strategy that we deploy. And I think we've been very successful. Yes, certain pockets can certainly have improvements. We could have dealt with Bangladesh crisis differently. We could have dealt with Manipur earlier and differently. We could have dealt with Maldives, which has taken some time, but came across, and we've done that differently. But at the end of the day, when you look at what's happening geopolitically, US needs India on its side because it cannot fight China without India. And therefore, US wants India to continue to be a vassal state. China doesn't want India to be a vassal state. That is not China's intent. China sees India primarily as a market. They want to have their supremacy around the world, and they see India as a market where they want to dump everything that they can so that they can get an economic advantage. That is what that China agreement or MOU that the Congress signed in 2008 was all about, to give China an advantage, to crush the SMEs and MSMEs in India. So China is about trade. America is not about trade. America trade is one aspect which they want to dump their corn in India. But the larger problem is they want to control India so that they can go after China using India's shoulder to shoot from. That is why they use Pakistan and Bangladesh as shoulders to shoot India in order to make India cow down in front of America. That is the actual game in simple words. So India has to do a lot, but you raised a very important issue on the intelligence agencies and the raw, Sree, and I believe we have to do a lot more. We have to make them more equipped. We have to protect them more. And today, intelligence is about technology. And while technology does exist, humanity is not forgotten. Humanity is the most important craft of spycraft, and that is where India is extremely strong at.
Thank you so much. And we have a few questions for you, Savio. We're going to line them up. One request to all of you viewers. We're getting a lot of people who seemingly have Indian names, but we know for sure they are not from India. These are bots, basically to try and run down programs that ask all the hard questions. And we request all of you one more time, download our PGurus app, whether it is Android or iPhone, it is available. And also put your questions through that. And that makes it a lot more easier for us to process the chaff from the grain. And we know that those are genuine because we have your ID. I'm not saying that we are going to, we know that, it's a genuine question. That's all I'm saying. You can agree or disagree with us. That's not a problem. So just a request to all of you. Prashant wants to know about the possible presence of deep network of tunnels under peaceful place of worship.
I think if you found one at Falah University, there are probabilities in some places that might exist, because tunnels is not unusual to Islamic terrorists and Islamic radicals. You've seen it with Hezbollah in the Lebanon side. You've seen it with Hamas in the Gaza side. So I don't think it's something unusual. We should be very alert that there is a probability that they do have tunnel technology. And Falah University's finding and investigation reveals something very shocking. So we should be alert, and I think the government must be very proactive in finding out more intelligence on what's happening with some of these madrasas and what might be in those madrasas.
Next question, please. Clary Ashok wants to know, Gaza hospital had a tunnel network. In Falah College had bunker. Close search will unearth the tunnel work in Falah. I think the same question. So thank you.
Correct.
We've already answered this. Next one. Krishnamurti wants to know, in near future, the Christians of Kerala would wake up Nigeria kind of situation if they don't shed their opposition to nationalistic forces.
I think the Christians in Kerala and the Christians in most parts of India have most of them have been nationalists. Their disagreement is with BJP and the RSS for reasons best known to them. But I think from a nationalism perspective, a lot of Christians are nationalists, particularly those who consider themselves to be Indian Christians, not those who do continue to have a colonial mindset. But yes, what has happened in Kerala is an eye-opener, because they realized that a lot of the Islamic radicals and the jihadis from Kerala were targeting Christian and Hindu girls. Christians, a lot of them were, and the church did come to oppose what was happening and decided to support the government, which is the BJP at the center, to deal with the menace of Islamic radicalism and jihadism.
Thank you. Next question, please. Dayanand Babu wants to know, why do courts prevent the government from taking any meaningful action?
Well, I can't really answer that because that's for the court and the process that it goes through. But I believe in the justice system that India has, and I pray that justice prevails in all cases that are necessary, particularly cases of national security.
Thank you so much, Savio. Much to ponder. Oh, there's one more question. Aprameya wants to know, will Hamas and Ansar Bangla be declared a terror outfit by India?
I don't have an answer to that question right now. I would obviously believe that Hamas should be declared a terror outfit by India and by the rest of the world, because they are a terror outfit. What they did on October 7, and I've seen some videos which are not made public when I was in Israel some months back, and I think they're horrible. I think they're really demonic is the word.
Thank you so much, Savio. Much to ponder about
Pleasure.
viewers. We just want to raise the awareness to understand that there is a big problem brewing. I mean, there are agencies outside of India who want to make sure India is kept under the lid. At the same time, increasing realization in the United States that beyond what they have as arms, if they want to take on China militarily, they don't have any way to build on that after the first 10 days, 20 days, 30 days, because 90% of the components that they are using to build these armaments are all being sourced from China. So what a sane person would do in the United States, if I were in the Trump administration, is I would say, look, we need to start partnering with India. It's a responsible country where we can start doing some of these critical things ourselves in partnership with India and solidify this thing. Because what I just said, China knows very well. So this can be easily turned around. China could check, especially if Russia and Ukraine settle, that will embolden China to attack Taiwan. And then you will start seeing all these things come out. Just wait and watch. Just wait and watch, viewers. So this is a bad move on part of US to try and keep India down using CIA. It has not succeeded. It will not succeed. You guys don't know what 1.4 billion people is. You really don't know.
Correct.
I mean, US is not able to put down, simple things that are happening in, small mohallas. Forget about cities. And you talk about trying to destabilize a 1.4 billion country regime. Anyway, bad idea. Taxpayer money wasted. Thank you so much, Savio. We will continue to have these discussions. This is not to try and point fingers, but to raise the intellect. Start thinking how to have a better tomorrow, because that's what we owe to our children. Thank you once again. Namaskar.
God bless. Bye-bye.